Okay, we'll call to order the regular city council meeting Monday, June 10th, 7 p.m. Roll call.
Toby Nelson.
Michelle Otto.
Kirby Moyna.
Sam Solars.
David Paradise.
Jessica Bonniwell. Jackie Hines.
Spencer Johnson.
Dan Reamer.
Invocation.
Good evening, everyone. Let's pray. God, we come to you before you tonight in gratitude. Gratitude for this city staff that has chosen this occupation of service to our community and for the greater good. For the city council taking time away from their families, their work, and other commitments to give voice to the people and all creative beings, including the land, that we call Montrose in this place and time. For our first responders putting their lives and well-being on the line on behalf of others to keep us all safe. And we thank all the members of this community that are here tonight to hear and to listen, to respond, and to support each other as we move forward to grow a healthier community together. We come into this room with complex human beings, each with our own burdens and our own emotions. Help us, draw us together, Lord, in your amazing care, and remind us that we all want the very best for this place. Bless our agenda and all who speak tonight, and make it all for your glory. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks, Kathy. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, approval of the agenda.
I will make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Further discussion? Mr. Paradise.
Aye.
Mr. Solars.
Aye.
I'll vote aye. Ms. Otto.
Aye.
Mr. Nelson.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Approval of the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I will second.
Jackie, I have a quick question.
Yep.
On page 24, Kirkpatrick Vet Clinic, planner fees for $342, what is that?
Oh, I'm sorry, page 24 of the packet.
Yeah.
And who is it paying?
That is just a potential business that may come to town,
Oh, okay,
that we've been working on some planning stuff with.
okay. Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Mr. Solars?
Aye.
I'll vote aye. Ms. Otto?
Aye.
Mr. Nelson?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Wright County Sheriff's Office.
Good evening, everyone. Keep it short and sweet. We got, looks like a lot to do today. Had some break-ins over in Waverly, not so much Montrose, but still going on. So we're looking into that one. Is at the vet clinic right off 12 there, middle of the day, so they're kind of getting a little more brave doing their stuff. Yeah, doing more neighborhood patrol. Nice weather's continuing, so trying to be more visible during the day, keep the streets safe. And any questions for me?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alright. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks.
City Council.
Park and Rec, also meeting with the members of the VFW.
Park and Rec Council, Celebrate Montrose, and Community Ed. I was just going to update you guys a little bit on the Community Ed. they're happy to see that we got the Twins grant, so, and then Open Gym, they gave numbers back on Open Gym. We go once a week. We got 30 to 40 kids that go a night. So next week it could or next year, sorry, it could possibly go back to the 2 days the way it was before. So just kind of a heads up for all of you. That's it.
Council, special council meeting, the Tom Emmer monthly update call, EDA, and the Memorial Day ceremony.
Council, special council, ADA compliant webinar, a webinar in the legislative update, and ICMA conference.
Fire department and the EDA.
Fire department.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. In your packet is the activity report for May of 2024. We were down 10 calls for the month compared to May of last year, and we're down 30 calls for the year in total. We did receive a $2,000 grant from the Central Minnesota EMS region to offset the cost of first responder training. And then the acknowledgement on there to the Wright County Historical Society. We brought them a meeting notebook that covered the years 1930 to 1961. That was very difficult to read due to its writing style of the time. They were able to transcribe it into a Word document, and we have it in digital format to memorialize the historical value. Our Relief Association is going to make a donation for their work on this, and we're likely going to be bringing other notebooks to them in the future to kind of memorialize some of our historical pieces of information that are contained within those books. So kind of interesting to look back what was happening in 1935 and stuff. So other than that, that's all I have for the activity report. Next item on the agenda is our fire contracts. So we cover parts of Franklin, Marysville, and Woodland townships, and we work with a contract for them on this. Our current rate is $150 per parcel that we provide coverage to, and it's sectored out by the parcels in agreements that have been in place for many, many years. This ends up being a revenue and becomes part of our total budget. So our last increase was in 2018 when we went from 125 to 150. We're requesting an increase of $25, making it $175 per parcel. And that's due to the increased costs, upping staff wages, increased capital improvement project costs, and things along those lines. And everything, as everybody knows, has become more expensive since 2020, and we haven't captured any of that really with our contract rates. So we're looking to just increase it a very small amount from 150 to 175.
And that's per parcel.
Yep, that's per parcel, correct. And this would become effective 2025. We'll be sending out the letters after we get this approval or not, so.
And that is just put on taxes, correct?
How they do it is up to them. We tell them this is how many parcels times X amount, and this is what you owe. Some of them are just including it in their total overall fund. Some of them are still doing special assessments. We got away from doing the special assessments in the city because of some things at Wright County that made it a little bit more difficult. So how they do it once we give them the rate or the cost, that's up to them. We do make sure that we get the checks. Some of them pay it all in once, and a couple of them, I think, pay every 6 months or something like that.
You said last update was 2018?
That's what my records show, yeah. And we went from 125 to 150. If I go back to 2005, it was $100. We raised it in 2009 to 125, and then 2018 to 150. If I go back to 1980, it was $15. I've had my head in the notebooks lately, so.
And how much was gas in 1980, Kevin?
67 cents a gallon.
Can't even start a truck for that anymore.
I'll make a motion to approve bumping up the parcel fees for Marysville, Woodland, and Franklin Townships to $175.
I'll second.
Further discussion? Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Mr. Solars?
Aye.
I'll vote aye. Ms. Otto?
Aye.
Mr. Nelson?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
That's all I have, thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. EDA?
Yeah, we met the other day, had a couple things on our agenda. First was to finalize the business subsidy policy draft, which we have brought forth to you guys. But after months and months of discussion with Shannon Sweeney, we feel very comfortable with what we're providing to you guys today. And then lastly, we had our first request for business subsidy from SJB Masonry. So that is in your packet as well. I'll just kind of go through really quick, but we recommend a total of 9 years of abatement with him through the business subsidy. Basically looking at the first 4 years being 100%, following 2 years with a 75% cut, then the next 2 at 50, and the final year at 25. This will give him a full 9 years of help as he gets going with his business. So that's what I have for you guys.
Anything for EDA? Planning and zoning?
Mayor and council, included in the packet this evening is a request from JP Brooks, the developer for the preserve. Art is here this evening. I'm going to go through the planner's report first, and then if you have any questions or would like the developer to explain his request, he is here. So a little bit of background, the developer for the preserve has requested approval of an amendment to the final approved PUD planned unit development for the project, granted originally in 2007 to a prior developer. The original PUD included a series of back-to-back townhouse units in the core area of the project served by private streets. The approved PUD was platted, and the current developers indicated their intent to follow the original project layout and terms as part of their proposal to purchase and develop the property. In reviewing the planned building layouts, it's been discovered that the builder's townhouse units make a small but potentially impactful change to the original approvals. That change primarily improves the setback of the garages from the curb lines of the private streets. To accommodate the internal unit layouts and garage depths of the current building design, the face of the garage is shifted 3 feet closer to the curb line of the street. The resultant dimension reduces the parking pad surface in front of each unit from the original approval of 24 feet in length to 21 feet, reduction of 3 feet. Council action that was requested for approved planned unit development projects, there's some discretion to adjust design and dimensions where the revised plan is reasonably consistent with the original approval. The process for the adjustments typically requires 1 of 3 paths. A minor administrative adjustment, a minimal adjustment having little to no impact, a final plan modification. The changes do not appreciably alter the density, building mass, scene, green space, or other land use impacts, but may result in impacts of the patterns of use, noticeable architect or site plan modifications. Also a PUD plan amendment. Staff believes that the proposed alteration, while small, is best reviewed as a final plan modification, which is option 2 in his memo. The level of amended plan requires council review and reapproval. Driveway length has proven to be an issue in a number of townhouse projects developed in the past, whether in Montrose or other communities. It's often the case that such communities are designed with garages of minimal dimension, and the result in considerable outside parking on the driveways leading into the garages. As a result, maximizing the driveway length helps ensure the parking does not interfere with the travel on the adjoining road, particularly for projects that utilize private roads such as the preserve. That driveway length is measured right to the curb. Public street setbacks almost always include additional boulevard space, usually 10 to 15 additional feet. When very large vehicles are parked in these driveways, there's a chance that the rear hangs over the edge of the curb. In winter conditions, it can interfere with snow removal. The applicants have provided a plan drawing that shows a pickup truck fitting on the driveway in the plan view. For reference, there are longer vehicles that may be up to 22 feet in length. There is no convenient solution to the issue. The garages proposed by the applicants are 22 feet in length in depth. Reducing this dimension to increase the driveway length defeats the objective as keeping as many parked vehicles indoors as possible. The support for this design lies primarily in the fact that the private street maintenance will be a responsibility of the owners and the association. Because this project is an effort to fit a more contemporary design into an older existing plat, the proposed driveway length may be considered acceptable and unique for the project. The planner's recommendation would encourage future projects and plans to design around full-size garages and longer driveways, but this PUD final plan modification is recommended for approval from the engineer and the planner based on the findings that the conditions for the preserve project are unique with the existing older plat and existing infrastructure, and the fact that the project will be responsible for street and driveway plowing and maintenance through their HOA rather than the city. So basically, they want to reduce the driveway length by 3 feet on some of the units. I don't know if Art wants to speak on it at all. If you guys have questions.
Are there any questions on this?
There was also a narrative from the developer in your packet as well. And some drawings and the included with the pickup in the driveway, as well as floor plans to kind of let you guys get an idea of what those would look like under the different numbers of houses.
Yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward, and since there's gonna be an HOA out there, it's gonna be the HOA's
Yeah, it'll be
responsibility to manage
the
it.
HOA's responsibility to deal with it and deal with any parking conditions or issues that arise, as well as plowing. So if if issues come up, they'll be the ones having to deal with it.
Are you able to guarantee that an HOA will be out there? Because we do have a couple areas in town there we're supposed to have HOAs and it never happened.
We've talked about that a little
So,
bit at length.
yeah.
Good question. Thank you. Art Plant with JP Brooks, JPB Land. Good evening, everyone. Yes, there will be an HOA established here. We're actually hoping to close on the property end of next week, first the following, and as part of that closing process, we'll be recording the declaration, which establishes the association. Now, that said, as you all may recall, this project is 174 homes total. We're actually going to develop this in 3 different phases. So the first phase of 36 units would have the recorded declaration, and then as the other 2 phases are developed, then we do a supplemental declaration and add those phases to the HOA. But the initial HOA will be established at the first closing.
Perfect.
And we do have restrictive language that we incorporated into the document to speak to that, large vehicle hanging out into the private street right-of-way issue. So that is in your packet. I'll read it to you as soon as I get my hands on it. But we did take deliberate steps to incorporate a little bit more restrictive language because of this situation, which unfortunately we kind of found out about late in the process, and I'm not able to locate it at the moment. I know we submitted it. Apologize, but there is specific language. Okay, here we go. That the unit owners cannot obstruct any area of the common elements, including but not limited to having a vehicle extend into the private streets when parked in a driveway or designated parking area. So as Jessica mentioned, the average driveway will be 21 feet here, which was 3 feet less. Part of that's driven because all of the sewer and water infrastructure's in the ground. The plat was recorded, so we're kind of working within finite boxes or rectangles. And our product that we showed you last year is a little bit bigger footprint than what was originally planned here years ago. We think that offers a better building with more livable square footage, up to 3 to 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms upstairs, and a much better floor plan for livability, which will attract the buyers that we're seeking. So that footprint is just a little tiny bit bigger, and that's what kind of squeezed the driveways. Our standard garages are 22 feet deep. In years of past, I built thousands of these homes, and our typical garage would be 20 feet. So J.P. Brooks, we make them 22. There's 2 feet less for the driveway, but we have it in the garage, which we think is a better use of space. We don't really want driveways to have a lot of vehicles on them, so we try to discourage that, but.
That's fair.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
There was resolution 2024-18 in the packet for consideration, and that would do the approval for the final plan PUD modification.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2024-18, the final PUD improvement for the preserves of Montrose.
I'll second.
Further discussion? Mr. Nelson?
Aye.
Ms. Otto?
Aye.
How about aye, Mr. Solars?
Aye.
Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thanks, Art.
Thanks, Art.
Park and Rec.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. Just quick notes. If you remember correctly, last time we talked briefly about potential working with the school project. We got some recent information. Unfortunately, we weren't able to keep it into our meeting, so we're going to roll it over to our July 2nd. But just getting more figures from Tony Steffes, the principal. The project that they're going to, are you ready for some numbers? All right.
Always ready for numbers.
All right. Their total project plan that they're working on right now is $142,206. The school would be covering $110,699, and the preemptive ask right now to the city would be for $31,537. But we have not gotten the complete bid out yet, so this is just more supplemental information from last time. So that $31,000 would be for, looks like 3 pieces of actual play equipment, 12 new swings, and 2 10-foot shaded areas above the benches. So look forward to that in the upcoming meeting. Other than that, we have just Carver Park updates. Everything's been going pretty smoothly. We got hit with some water, as did everyone, but progress is moving swiftly on that. Other than that, we have the youth program is up and running, taking applications. I'm sure once we get into the dead of summer and kids start saying they're bored to their parents, we'll probably get some more applications. But that is open right now. And as for this month right now, we have the chalk art competition, so judging will be at the end of the month. Other than that, that's all I got.
Thanks, Josh.
Park and Rec. Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
City Engineer.
Evening, Mayor, Council. Thank you for having me this evening. There are 2 items in your packet that I will be presenting on tonight. The Highway 12 water main replacement project and the 2024 street improvement project. The first item is the Highway 12 water main replacement project. We did put that project out for bids, and we opened them here recently, and we did have a low bid we had 8 bids total in all, and ranged from a low bid of $445,522.17 to $603,309.93. The low bidder for the project is GM Contracting out of Lake Crystal, Minnesota. If council desires to move forward with the project, we recommend adopting the enclosed resolution, accepting bids and awarding the project to GM Contracting of Lake Crystal, Minnesota, in the amount of $445,522.17.
Have you ever worked with GM Contracting before?
Yep.
Do they do solid work? I mean, I looked them up online and they have all 5-star ratings, so I
Yeah,
just,
no, we've worked with them before, and my experience with them previously was good.
Just to follow up on that, sorry to interrupt. Current city admin in Buffalo, I talked to him today. He was the city admin in Lake Crystal, and he stood by GM Contracting, also said they do great work, so.
Good.
Yep, so just throw that in there.
Was there anything major in difference of what they were gonna do compared to even the, Northdale construction?
They're all bidding on the same work,
Okay.
so it was just a difference in unit prices and how hungry they were to get the project.
Perfect.
So, yeah, no, they were very favorable bids, so. So, yeah, if council desires to move forward with the project, we recommend, adopting that enclosed resolution. Are there any other questions that you have for me prior to discussion on that?
did I hear a motion on that?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2024 where are we?
19.
19, thank you. Resolution accepting the Highway 12 water main replacement project bid and awarding contract to GM Contracting of Lake Crystal.
I will second.
Further discussion? Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Mr. Solars?
Aye.
I'll vote aye. Ms. Otto?
Aye.
Mr. Nelson?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Great. Do have one other update on that. So I did talk with the contractor, and they are looking at potential construction start dates of mid to late August or early September. So they should have plenty of time to get that done by the end of the year. So, item number 2 in your packet is the 2024 street improvement project. The plans have been designed, and so they have been, the memo, or the project encompasses overlay improvements for Pheasant Hills Development, Lemmerman Industrial Park, and Rockbrook Development. If council desires to proceed with the project, we would recommend that council approve the plans and authorize advertisement for bidding for the project. So pending approval, the bid opening would be July 9th. And with that said, then we would, in order to expedite the award process and the construction start for the project, to allow the contractor to have as much time as possible to complete the project yet this year, we recommend that council would hold a special council meeting on July 22nd to evaluate bids and award the project. So,
Is this gonna be all encompassing, or is each area gonna be its own project?
The project would be bid and schedules. So each area would be bid separately, and then it would be further broken down in the Rockbrook development by the private street that is located within that development. So that whether council or city staff are able to obtain that approval or desire from written approval or desire from all of the private property owners along that road, then we would execute assessment waivers, or if we don't get written desire from all of those property owners, then we would recommend that the project wouldn't move forward on that street.
Do we need all of them, not just a majority?
All of them.
Okay.
So, any further questions? If not, there is a resolution enclosed for this project as well, which would approve the plans and specifications and order advertisement for bidding. If council desires to move forward with that, then we recommend that resolution would be adopted.
That'll be resolution 2024-20.
Thanks. I will make a motion to approve resolution 2024-20.
I'll second.
Further discussion? Mr. Nelson?
Aye.
Ms. Otto?
Aye.
I'll vote aye. Mr. Solars?
Aye.
Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Any other updates, Spencer?
Yeah, I do have one more update for you. I have been in contact with the contractor that was awarded the 200 Crystal Lane and Pheasant Hills drainage improvements. They were both the same contractor, Stone's Edge Landscaping out of Montrose. And he is looking at the first or second week of July to start those projects. So just want to make sure that council's update on that. So otherwise, I do not have any further updates.
Any questions for Spencer? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Public Works?
Council, I don't really have any updates, but if you got any questions, I'll take them.
Any questions for Public Works?
Did your second guy start, summer help start? Did the second summer help gentleman start?
June 17th he starts.
Okay.
Okay, we have a couple of public hearings coming up here. Do you want to go over it, Jess? Do you want me to?
Do we want to close the meeting and then we can, okay.
So we have a public hearing to accept comments on and consider the establishment of criteria for future subsidies provided to businesses. There is a memo here attached from Mr. Shannon Sweeney regarding that, as well as a drafted policy that was in the packet as well. So at this time, I will make a motion to close the regular city council meeting and open a public hearing.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're now in public hearing. Is there any questions, comments regarding a business subsidy policy?
Mayor and council, I can read Mr. Sweeney's memo. It's pretty short. Minnesota statutes 116J.993 through 116J.995 require cities provide business subsidies of $150,000 or greater, or financial assistance of $25,000 or greater to have a business subsidy policy in place. Public hearing is required prior to the adoption. The Montrose Economic Development Authority has reviewed several draft business subsidy policies and has recommended the adoption of a policy similar to that of the city of Buffalo. That policy is included in your packet for consideration tonight. And there is also resolution 2024-21 to adopt the business subsidy criteria, if you are all in agreement with that. And if you have any questions, myself or Mayor Moyna or Councilmember Paradise have been at the EDA meetings with all of the discussion.
Is there any public comment or questions regarding the business subsidy policy? Is there any public comment or questions regarding the business subsidy policy? Third and final time, is there any public comment or questions regarding the business subsidy policy? Hearing none, I will make a motion to close the public hearing and reopen the regular city council meeting.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're back in regular council meeting. We have resolution 2024-21 adopting the business subsidy policy for consideration.
I will make a motion to approve resolution 2024-20, -21. Resolution adopting business subsidy criteria.
I will second.
Further discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Mr. Solars?
Aye.
I'll vote aye. Ms. Otto?
Aye.
Mr. Nelson?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Now we will have a public hearing in regards to a consideration for a property tax abatement request from SJB Holdings LLC. So I will make a motion to close the regular city council meeting and open the public hearing.
I'll second.
Further discussion? I don't think I need that. All in favor?
Aye.
We are now in our public hearing. So, I'll just kind of give a quick synopsis. So we have a business that is looking to move to town. They had requested under our business subsidy policy that we were looking at for tax abatement. They had asked for a different amount of time. We talked it through. We agreed with EDA and came with recommendations. For the one presented in front of you that we had talked about earlier, 9 years, 4 at 0, 2 at 75, 2 at 50, and 1 at 25, to help them offset some of the costs of the increase in taxes from moving from Carver County to Wright County, as well as be able to, expand and do all the necessary things that they need to with a business that's moving to a more expensive area.
Mayor and Council, in Shannon's, Mr. Sweeney's memo, he says that the total 9 years would not exceed $214,412 of abatement. This was also discussed at length with EDA multiple times.
Is there any questions or comments from the council right now? So I'll be looking for any public comment as far as the tax abatement goes for SJB Holdings. Looking for any public comment on the tax abatement for SJB Holdings. Third and final time, just looking for any public comment on the tax abatement request for SJB Holdings LLC. Hearing none, I will make a motion to close the public hearing and reopen the regular city council meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're back in regular city council meeting. We have resolution 2024-22 approving the property tax abatement and business subsidy for certain property located in the city of Montrose for consideration.
I will make a motion to approve resolution 2024-22. I'm having problems talking tonight.
I'll second.
Further discussion?
I personally feel like this is a fairly solid deal, and I appreciate your guys' hard work on it.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Mr. Solars?
Aye.
I'll vote aye. Ms. Otto?
Aye.
Mr. Nelson?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. We have a request for council action. Mr. Adam Lean. Took a guess on that one. I took a guess on the last name.
So, how you guys doing? I'd like to talk to you guys about parking pads.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Adam Lean, 922 Breckenridge Lane. So I'm just looking to see if we can move the parking pad to be able to put it up to the property line. So I know right now we're talking it's 5 feet, have to be from it, but with a lot of these newer developments, we ain't got that. So like in my case, I have 11 feet between the garage and the property line, which is more than enough to park a trailer. So is there a way we can change that to, I mean, we got the fences already on the lines, as long as they're maintenance free. Parking pads are maintenance free. So looking for your guys' thoughts.
What type of parking pad?
Huh?
What type of parking pad?
For my case, I plan on doing like a class 5. It's
And you say that's maintenance free?
how would it not be?
All the weeds that come up through it?
Yeah, you pull a weed.
Okay.
I mean, if you look at technically like a maintenance free fence, you still got to weed whip it. So it's not really maintenance free.
Okay.
So you still got to pull weeds. Concrete, the cracks, weeds come up.
Okay.
Just, it's simple, but.
I mean, I feel if you get sign off with your neighbors. I mean, it's free. I mean, it's, no.
Has this gone to planning and zoning?
No.
No.
It should probably. If we,
I guess that's the question tonight.
Do we want them to?
This was brought
Take
here
the time to do
first,
it?
so, yeah. I believe, I've talked to the engineers about this, and they would not recommend removing any, like a setback down to 0. So I just don't know that planning and zoning would,
want to take it on?
yeah. But, I mean, we've looked at parking portions of it multiple times.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
Yes.
Last time was 2021, so when the ordinance was changed for parking stuff.
It's kind of hard to read the thing that you put in here. So you want the parking pad to go right up on the property line?
Yeah, really close to it. I mean, obviously, we can't have our water shed onto the property, or the neighboring property. So obviously, you'd have to make it so you didn't interrupt the swale in between the properties where the water would run. So you just have to make sure it doesn't run onto the neighboring property.
Have you talked to your neighbor about it?
To a point, but, not everybody gets, the same opinion. So it's just the way it is.
Right.
So even with as you acknowledge, with the watershed, you wouldn't even be looking for all the way to the property line anyway. You'd be looking for some kind of setback regardless, so that you're not infringing. Because I agree with you that if you have class 5, if you're on the property line, especially some of the ones that are a little hillier, I mean,
Right,
rocks rolling
you would have
in.
to put up some kind of call it a little retaining wall so that water wouldn't run, or the rocks or whatever wouldn't run off. You'd have to put some kind of a ledge before the property line so that it wouldn't run off. I mean, you couldn't just put gravel right up to somebody's grass and hope for the best.
Right.
Other thoughts or discussion?
Okay, so the parking pad permit application, it's actually a 2-foot side yard setback.
It's a 2-foot?
So does the driveway meet the 2-foot side yard setback?
That I read somewhere it was a 5-foot.
Oh, parking pad. Does the parking pad meet 2 feet side yard set? Because neighbors aren't allowed to sign off anymore, so I think we reduced that down to 2 feet back in 2021.
Yeah.
So I didn't think it was 5 feet.
Okay. So we can put it all the way up within
You
2
can
feet.
put it within 2 feet.
Okay.
It sounds
know
like you
that
could park
planning
your
and
boat.
zoning would-
Right, exactly. I was only looking for a full 8, so.
Planning and zoning would go any closer than that, just because of drainage and some
Right.
other things,
Okay.
so. 2 feet.
We're good then.
Yep.
All right, perfect. All right, thanks, guys.
Yeah, glad we can solve your problem.
Oh, let's go home.
Okay, so there's no old business. New business is community center changes as far as the rental fees and policy. We have a draft in here. We also have several open forum requests that will come up during this discussion as well. So the first thing that we'll do is we'll do the open forum requests. There are several, so please make sure we're abiding by the 3 minutes or less, just so everybody's getting a chance to talk. Everyone's going to be listened to, and then we'll continue the discussion afterwards. So the first one I have here is Greg Humans, Community Center Usage and Fees. And please state your name and address for the record.
Mayor, Council, Greg Humans, 335 Garfield Avenue South, Montrose, Minnesota. Some questions that I have regarding the fees that are proposed. First of all, I left a voicemail twice last week for city staff. Failed to get a call back. And I call your attention to page 112 and 115, where it has to do with a peace officer. And first of all, it says and or on one page, and it says and on the other. So there's a discrepancy between the policy and the actual rental agreement. Secondly, there's a discrepancy as to whether a police officer is a licensed police officer or a Wright County police officer, based on your contract with Wright County. So there's also a discrepancy as to what police officer needs to be here for an event that has alcohol and music, or music. So nice to get a call back, so I guess I have to address that here at council as opposed to getting a call back from city staff. Regarding page number 113, cleaning.
I emailed you back?
You emailed back to someone else, not to me.
I emailed to you and to another member of your group.
But I wanted to call back. I wanted to discuss it with you. That's what I asked for when I called. Be that as it may. Access to the mop room for cleaning. There's an arbitrary cost here for cleaning services that to be assessed after if cleaning is needed. But your policy states that mopping and sweeping is not necessary. I know for my groups that I represent, the VFW, the Scouts, Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts, and also for Celebrate Montrose, we always do sweeping. And if we had access to the mopping closet, we'd do that as well. But you don't give us access to that. Secondly, I'd like to know whether the fees that are being proposed are based on actual costs for the use of the community center, whether that has to do with the cost of water, electricity, whether that has to do with disposables that are being used by the individuals when they rent it or when they use the facility. I know that taxpayers are the ones who paid for this facility along with generous donations from the Lions. And my question is, what's the purpose of this facility? Is it to serve the community or is it to turn a profit? With regard to the youth services, the youth development organizations that I represent, and with the food drops, as also with the community meal, and the veteran services that I represent, the VFW might have had to consider canceling Memorial Day in the event of a rain event because of the fees that you're going to charge for it. I think that's exorbitant. I think it's a travesty that we're doing that to our nonprofit organizations. Next issue, with regard to nonprofit organizations being treated fairly and evenly. The fire department, although they're employees of the city when they go out on calls because they're paid for calls, technically their fundraiser is a nonprofit organization fundraising for nonprofit. Will they be charged the $150 fees as well?
Yes.
The Lions Club, will they be charged the same fees? So I would ask you to consider some process that allows a no-charge event for nonprofits, whether that you have done that for the food service organizations, but maybe you look at it as having two functions per year that are not charged and then charge a fee, or base that actually on the costs that are involved in what it costs to maintain the building. I know for most of them that will be a showstopper. If the fees that are proposed are passed, it'll be a showstopper for the Cub Scouts, the Boy Scouts, and we'll have to look at other venues. For the VFW, we'll have to look at other venues. And for other organizations, the community service. They don't make that much on their profit for the fundraisers they make, and having a $150 fee for a nonprofit for a fundraiser is a showstopper. It won't happen. They won't be able to do what they do. The last thing that I want to say is that these organizations provide a service to the community. They all do. All of them are servicing the community in some manner, whether that be through educating our youth and developing our youth, whether that's serving food to people who need that, whether they're serving food for people who are down on their luck and need that support. So that service to the community is part of what the city is supposed to do as far as providing service to the community. That's what this building is built for community service. It's in the name. So I ask you, what's the intent? Is the intent in your proposal to turn a profit on the community center? Or is your intent to serve the community? I ask you to ponder that question. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. Ms. Jen Voca, fees for community center for nonprofits.
Discombobulated there for a minute. Jen Voca, 275 Fieldcrest Court, Montrose, Minnesota. I would just like to say I'm the Cub Master for the Scout Pack, and I also am on Celebrate Montrose, and I know the fees seem small. They actually aren't that small when we are doing our Cub Scout Pinewood Derby. We sell pizza just because it's around lunchtime and the kids like to do it, and then we don't make any money on it. It's basically just to be there, and but then that'd be $150 and we don't even make money. We're family oriented, we're youth oriented, we're just trying to make the community better, and having these fees will affect a lot of that. So we're just hoping that if it's more cleaning that has to be done, I know I would get behind it 100%. So I ask that you guys think about it a little bit harder, because it will affect our community quite significantly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. Ms. Pamela Johnson, feed community center usage.
Hello, Mayor and City Council members. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak on behalf of FEED. I'm not currently a member of the City of Montrose. I live in Buffalo now, but I spent most of my life in Montrose. A little bit about FEED for your information. FEED stands for the acronym for each and every day, because people need food each and every day. We began here after a lot of needs assessments and research with House of Grace, the Montrose United Methodist Church, and Palabra Viva, because there was a need for people to be fed, and this is a food desert. There was no grocery store, Montrose, Waverly, between Delno and pretty much Cokato, a little bit in Howard Lake. So we decided that this really was a good place to start this effort. We have been in existence since January 2015. This will be 9 years. We are part of the community, and we have been for all that time. We have held at least one drop every single month, and a few times we held more than one when we had opportunities to have a second drop during the month. So we've had over 110 drops. Our costs have varied between a little over 200, which is right now, because Second Harvest Heartland, where we purchase our food from, has a federal grant, which is going to expire. And the highest amount we've spent is up to $1,000 a month. Our goal for many years was to try to stay around $500 per order. We have always paid a delivery charge to Second Harvest of $40 to get this food that we purchase. We have also purchased freezer blankets, canopies, thermometers, website design, posters, flyers, and recently banners so that we can advertise to the community that we are here. Quick cost estimate means that we have spent over $55,000 to help feed this community. We have partnered with the state of Minnesota and hosted COVID clinics, provided public health nursing class at St. Cloud State the opportunity to complete their degree for public health nursing, and that report that they did through FEED by surveying the people that were here was given to the city for future planning for the health of the city of Montrose. We worked with Wright County Health with the Wellness on Wheels vans. The county nurses were here when we used to meet in the fire barn. And people would come at 1 and we didn't start until 4. And they would socialize and we would do educational opportunities. We'd also do blood glucose testing, blood pressure, occasionally toenail cutting, nutritional education, learn about the produce that we had available, like spaghetti squash. We would give them samples of it cooked, and they're like, hey, this is pretty good. I think I could use it. So we did things like that to educate the population on healthy, nutritious eating, as well as opportunities to stay healthy. We also have flu shots available free here. This was to increase the health and wellness knowledge of the citizens of Montrose.
Got about 30 seconds or so.
Pardon me?
About 30 seconds or so left on the timer.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I will not go into all the businesses that have helped us and everything else. If we had 4 free times during the year, it would still cost us $600 a year, which we could not have to spend for purchasing food. So our options would be to decrease the number of people served, decrease the amount of food, or cut back on the number of drops that we have. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pam.
Ms. Kim Niska, Community Center fees, Grace Place.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kim Niska. I live at 523 2nd Street South in Montrose here. I'm representing Grace Place as their executive director, and we're at 371 Center Avenue South here in Montrose. Lady and gentlemen of the council, I stand before you today not just as a representative of our nonprofit organization, but as a voice for the countless individuals within our community who rely on us to combat the ever-present threat of food insecurity. We are here because we believe in the power of community, in the strength of solidarity, and in the possibility of a future where no one goes to bed hungry. However, our mission faces an unexpected obstacle. A fee imposed upon us to utilize the community center, a very large part of our outreach efforts. In times of crisis, it is imperative that we come together as a community, setting aside bureaucratic red tape and financial barriers to ensure that the most vulnerable among us receive the support they so desperately need. Food insecurity does not discriminate. It affects families, children, and individuals from all walks of life. It is the silent epidemic that gnaws at the fabric of our society, threatening the very essence of human dignity. Our nonprofit is not just another organization seeking to rent a space for leisurely activities. We are warriors in the battle against hunger, operating on the front lines where the need is greatest. Every dollar spent on facility fees is a dollar taken away from purchasing nutritious food for those who would otherwise go without. Every bureaucratic hurdle we face is a roadblock preventing us from fulfilling our duty to serve those who rely on us the most. But today, I implore you to see beyond the balance sheets and consider the human cost of your decision. Think of the single mother who depends on food distribution programs to feed her children. Think of the elderly gentleman who relies on a warm meal from our community meal to stave off hunger in his stomach and the loneliness he feels within. Think of the countless faces, young and old, who turn to us in their hour of need, seeking not just sustenance, but a glimmer of hope in a world filled with uncertainty. We are not asking for special treatment or handouts. We are simply asking for the opportunity to fulfill our mission without additional financial burdens weighing us down. By waiving the fees imposed upon us, you are not just supporting our organization, you are investing in the well-being of our entire community. You are sending a powerful message that in times of crisis, compassion and solidarity will always triumph. So I urge you, esteemed members of the council, to reconsider your decision and stand on the right side of history. Let us work together to tear down the barriers that divide us and build a future where no one in our community must face the indignity of hunger. Together we can make a difference. Together we can create a world where compassion reigns supreme and no one is left behind. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kim.
Okay, rental fees and policy draft. Discussion.
Okay. First, I want to thank all of you guys for coming because this shows community. You know, I reached out to some of you and got a lot more than what I was going to expect to show up. So this is why we're here, is for everything that you guys do. So I thank you all for showing and informing the council of everything that goes on within the community. I personally understand, you know, all the fees, everything, the upkeep. I totally understand that, but so many people are affected, could be affected by decisions that we make. It will hinder, I mean, I see what all of these guys do every day, you know, day in and day out. The countless drops that feed even did 2 drops, I think, within the last 2 days. It will really hinder everything that goes on, whether it's the Lions, the churches, feed, just Celebrate Montrose, Boy Scouts. None of us are really here to make a profit, I guess. We are here to bring our community together and and like I said, I totally understand all of the fees that go into everything here. So in my heart, I cannot charge anybody. So that's going to be my way of thinking, whatever you guys want to do, because I've just been involved with way too much of everything that all of these guys do. And I see every month the people that come. You know, there was a year where we were not going to serve a December meal. And the looks on them people's faces saying, what are we going to do during Christmas? We have no family. We have nothing. I'm not going to be the one to take that away. So if I have to personally pay a little bit more on my taxes, my husband might not like it, but he knows me. So that's just what I'm going to do, you know, because this is a community. We're, you know, if that's what it takes, if we can just raise the fee maybe, you know, if you look around to other communities, some communities are paying $700 for weddings or, you know, whatever. If we can raise the fee that way, instead of affecting all of these people here, maybe that's something that we consider.
So I do know that we're not raising these fees to turn a profit, from what I've been told. Correct. Answer that question, Greg. Nobody's looking to make a profit. I just wanted to let you know.
And also, I'd like to add that Waverly does not charge nonprofits for use of the village hall.
Well, their contract says that they do.
I talked to them today, and they said they do not charge nonprofits.
I want to kind of go off of what Greg just said. I have recently been a part of the Waverly Boosters, attended a couple of their meetings just because, you know, we are Montrose Waverly. a lot of our chambers, whatever, so we, I'm hoping to build that bridge with them. And anything that community wants, their council is on board with. And I don't want to put, whatever, but it was amazing to me to see that they're even willing to give up. They're going to do their haunted house probably in their city hall, just to give up space because it brings community together. So, and I think, all of these groups have worked so hard to do. Everybody talks about we're a bedroom community. What are we going to be if we put these fees on and get rid of feed and get rid of the drops? Where are we going to be? We're not going to be a community then. So,
Toby, where were you going with your?
Well, I've seen a lot of these organizations and the good work that they definitely do, and they do have value. I'm not going to speak to the same as Michelle and say I want to raise everybody's taxes.
I said I would raise my own
I know, but
personally.
if we could so can we do that? Can we raise one person's taxes in the city? No. No, I've seen it firsthand, at least a few of these organizations. So I do know there's a lot of community. I know we're not making money on this. It was kind of the same idea at a much lower level with community gardens. We weren't trying to make a profit by raising fees. We were trying to get more in line to be less of a burden on the tax base. I do agree that we could probably raise some different rates. I don't know that we can give everything away though. I've seen what the costs are to replace this floor. I've been told what the cost is to clean this building, and there's many more improvements that are needing to be done. So my only thought is if we do give it away, we are saying we are raising people's property, taxes, because the money has to come from somewhere. So while my heart does say the same things, I do believe there has to be some cost. I am more inclined to charge for items that are more fundraiser, and I'm not talking exorbitant prices or costs, than I am to charging for the community meal or food drops or some of the other items that happen that they're not making any money off of. Now, it has to be within reason what the right number is. I don't feel like I'm the one that gets to make that decision. But there is a cost to having this building, end of the day. If we want it here 10, 20 years from now, we have to at least get close to breaking even.
And that's my whole point too. I mean, we are not here to diminish anything that you guys do. You guys do great work. What we're trying to do is make sure that this building is here to allow you guys to do great work. And I mean, stuff's not getting any cheaper. I mean, we spent through May $54,000 on flooring, paint, cleaning. We got another $21,000 going into the parking lot. So that's $75,000 through 7 months of this year. And I mean, it's got to come from somewhere. I mean, yep. I mean, thankfully the flooring came through ARPA, but we're not guaranteed to have ARPA in 10 years. Yeah?
400,000, 500,000?
Yeah.
9 million for last project or whatever? That's all. I mean, we're already paying for everything as a community.
So, okay, but you're just a group of people. We've got 4,000 residents in this town,
I think what he's saying is, as a community, everybody's paying for that.
I totally agree. But, again, stuff's not getting any cheaper. Thankfully, our cleaning lady, she charges like $5 an hour, it seems. But she's not going to do it forever. And the going rate for cleaning is $40 an hour. I mean, this is stuff we have to really take consideration to if we want this building to be around for the next 10, 15, 20 years. I mean, I get it. I mean,
They have a building, but nobody can use it.
Did we ever get what the state regulations were on whether you had to clean it after every use?
We don't.
As far as the disinfecting goes?
I don't have to.
It does not need to be disinfected.
And to your point, Greg, I mean, yes, you're right. If nobody can use it, but if it's not here, nobody can use it anyways. So, I mean, there's two sides of that coin. Yeah, it's a tough decision, and I'm not denying that fact at all, So, I don't know which way to go on this. I mean, it is a hard decision.
Looking around at other communities, they don't even agree on whether or not you should charge or not charge a nonprofit.
Yep.
And if you wanted to put a minimal fee on it, maybe there's some room to negotiate there, I think. But if we all of a sudden just drop a $600 to a $1,200 bill on a group that maybe in a year they bring in a couple $1,000s, I'll use Celebrate Montrose. If you take $1,000 away from that group, if they did, let's just say 8 events here in the community center a year, that's there goes anything. There goes their liquor license for the year. I mean, that's $1,000 off the top of there. I mean, as they said with the feed program, that that's $600 that they have to then factor in. And yeah, the cost of food is going up. I mean, I'm sure we've all seen it at home when you buy food that you get less for the same amount that you paid. I mean, at my work for 9 teenagers, we used to spend $450 a week, and we could possibly go 2 weeks without getting more food. Now we might need food 5 days later because one, teenagers never stop eating. But also, the food just doesn't go as far as it used to. The cost of it's going up, and I agree. Yes, the cost of everything is going up. Maintenance, the flooring and all that, yeah, it's through ARPA, which that's going to get collected on us at some point or another because it's just getting rolled into the $34 trillion in debt.
There is no win in this situation. I mean,
my opinion, I find it tough to, other than for maybe certain events, a wedding or whatever, that we're going to increase fees just for what we're offering. I mean, I had rented the Buffalo Community Center that's downtown, that they have TVs and internet and computers and a kitchen and all of that stuff right there for you to use, and it was $75 for 2 hours that we used it as a non-resident to Buffalo. And other places are a lot more. I mean, you could look through all of this stuff. This is Howard Lake, Delano, Cokato. I've highlighted all of it. Howard Lake, they've got up to $1,000 for you to use it for a day, but they're overlooking a lake.
Nope.
We're overlooking a parking lot.
And a church.
and a church, she's right.
So, I mean, I get that we need to find a way to break even on what's going on here. And if there needs to be a security deposit or something taken from a group at the beginning of the year when they're going to use it, and every time they don't do something, you take money out of that security deposit, that's on them to maintain it. That's on them to keep up with everything that needs to be done. I mean, what's the general cost of just using the place for 4 hours? Electricity or water for a regular event, I guess.
You're asking what the electricity is for one event?
Well, if we're talking about overall maintenance of the place, I mean, yeah, we need to have that discussion. If we're going to increase fees, we have to justify why we're doing it. I mean, we sit here and, we could talk ourselves to death till 10 o'clock at night for a city council meeting, but the city's getting charged for it. I really hope we're not here till 10 o'clock. But the point still stands. But what are we offering that's worth what's going to be charged? That's just my opinion. I don't think the nonprofits should be charged other than maybe a security deposit, like I said at the beginning of the year. And if they don't do what they're supposed to, then as far as cleaning and all that goes, then they lose that money. And if that money goes to zero, they need to put more in the security deposit. That's where I would go with it. But I don't think that you can have a group that puts together whatever events and we're going to tack on $600, $1,000 and take that right off of their already narrow budget. We talk about the city budget and how we have to stretch every dollar we get from the taxpayers. They have to do the exact same thing, but on a much smaller level. I don't have a perfect answer for it either, but that's my thought on it.
From the city standpoint, some of the thought process in this is maybe some of those groups could utilize some other locations. So maybe Boy Scouts could do some of their events in the basement of churches. They could utilize the parks more. They could do some of those things instead of isolating every event to this building. So maybe spreading out and stretching out into the community a little bit and trying to do some of those things instead of just relying on the building was kind of some of the thought process with the city.
Can I?
Like other groups do.
So I know that the Boy Scouts utilize the park quite a bit for their meetings, especially obviously in the summertime, not so much in the winter. But for community meal, there's nowhere else. There's nowhere in the community to go. I mean, yeah, we could probably use a church on occasion, but there's nowhere in this community for any of our events.
Right, so some groups could potentially and some groups can't, right? It's probably not an all or nothing thing, right? So that was kind of I think some of the recommendations about 6 months ago is there a way to spread this out a little bit?
Because the free use of it is far outweighing the actual paid rentals.
And it's not really free, right? When you ask for a free rental, it's not free.
Right.
Because the city gives it to you for free, but it doesn't cost the city.
Right,
You know,
the
it costs
free
everybody
use
in the
for the
community.
groups, yeah.
So
Is outweighing rentals.
Exactly. So everybody appreciates what they do, and the goal is to continue to have them here, and this is the best way to do that. And we certainly did raise fees for rentals as well, so that we could compensate for some of that and cover some of those extra fees.
It looks like most of the pushback would be probably, and I mean, a lot of agreement up here about not sure exactly what the right answer is going to be under food donation groups and nonprofit or community group. I don't think we see a whole lot of argument about memorial service, celebration of life. I mean, that's an expected cost. When you hold something like that, it's gonna cost you money. It's an unfortunate part about death.
When we say memorial service, we're talking more like a funeral, not Memorial Day.
Yeah, celebration of life.
Oh, well, I just wanted to clarify.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's a good clarification, because that's how I took it, was more of a celebration of life or memorial service for somebody that passed.
Okay.
So I think, end of the day, we're really talking about, well, we're actually talking about 3 of the 4 that I see.
So if the one that you didn't mention was the nonprofit or community fundraiser?
Yeah, that's one of the ones.
Right, so we can use an example as the community meal could fall under food donation group, right?
Yeah, that's what I would think.
But if they now do their bingo to try and raise money for their food, they're now at $150, which is they partner with the VFW, who has no money. That's why they're doing the bingo now. So that would really be a hard one. I mean, last month, bingo community meal, they made $36 because they split it between 2 groups, $36. So
If you guys have a better recommendation, we'd like to hear it tonight, and then we can come back with a different resolution for the next meeting. We want to try and get at least rental fees in place for 2025, people are starting to call. So that's kind of why we were doing this tonight.
So can we make a recommendation then to increase the community room kitchen weekend rental rates for the Friday, Saturday, for like the weddings, non-profit, whatever, as well as the member service celebration of life, increase those fees and then table the rest of it?
We can't approve it tonight just because the resolution is kind of no good at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
The resolution specifies the.
All of
those
it.
amounts.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, making $36 an organization running bingo doesn't seem like a profitable item either way. I wouldn't want to take away the little bit of money they did get. But if it is going under food donation groups and we make a change to that to allow food meals be done just on their own, we are still providing the service needed to feed the community. That's my thought on that, but.
You have a question, Greg?
I do. One other thing that might be considered is something other cities do, and that's have a different fee for weddings, et cetera, for residents and non-residents. You know, the other cities have higher fees for non-residents, and that's where they make up some of the funds as well. And if you look at what your rental fees for any of your major areas, this is considerably less expensive than any other wedding rental would be.
We do get a lot of out-of-town people for that kind of stuff.
So can we tack on for out of town, for non-residents, maybe an extra $100 a day and it's freaking fly. $150 for 2 days? Is that possible?
I think the only thing to think about too is, I mean, those are the people paying for this building. So if you bring them too high, you're gonna ixnay the only people that are contributing to keep this building open.
That's my
I
fear.
mean, so
If
you
it
don't want
goes-
to push them away.
Yeah, if it goes too high and then people just walk away.
And then they'll
what do we
just
got?
choose those other venues.
Hurts.
It sounds like we need to come up with some sort of a solution for them to bring back next month. So other ideas?
The weekend rentals at $400 for a Friday or a Saturday, or $550 for Friday and Saturday. Do you want to raise those or keep? Are you good with those?
I don't see it offhand. What is it in comparison? Oh, here we go.
Right now it's
300 and 400.
The other ones.
Yeah.
No, I was looking to see what. I didn't see these right away. So Howard Lake, which we obviously already said overlooks the lake, charges significantly more, which makes sense. Waverly seems to be about equal.
Waverly also charges a $150 cleaning fee for every rental.
Yeah, I mean, end of the day, whatever we decide to do, eventually it's gonna cost us between, what, $80 and $160 to get this place cleaned after an event? Depending on the amount of cleaning. That's 2 to 4 hours at $40 an hour. I know currently we get a deal.
Yep.
But you can't count on that deal forever. And if we allow people to clean, then it's comes down to what is clean, which is different to every person.
Well, they could have a checklist, and that checklist, everything has to be on it, you know, and that is what we used to do. After every rental fee, Wendy would come in and check everything off, and if it wasn't done, she would reach back out to the organization that had rented it.
Roast it in the kitchen. That's what we do after feeding them.
Okay.
This facility is the only one in Montrose that works for feed because of the traffic flow. We stack the cars in the church parking lot to keep them from being traffic hazards and backing up the Highway 12 and causing accidents and blocking the post office and everything. So the church parking lot is utilized by the people who are waiting. And they
We
start,
need to start charging a fee for that. $5 a car.
Anyway, they start lining up at noon. And we
So-
start at 3.
The big discussion that we're gonna have on this, before we figure anything other stuff out, is what is going to happen with the nonprofit and food donation groups. Because if that's not figured out, the rest of it doesn't matter.
I'll say my piece on the food donation, something I've been a part of my whole life, giving back to it. Food donation, I don't feel like we should be charging. I'm gonna leave it at that. To your point, there's too many people that we can do something, they are doing something to make sure everybody's got a meal. I feel that that's something that the citizens can pay for. The $75 fee. You can add that into the taxes. 12 times a year.
Yeah,
They're doing too good of a thing. It actually, obviously probably doing more than just Montrose community, but you know what? We got a good spot here.
Yeah, I could see that too. I agree with that.
And good publicity everywhere because of it. May I say something? I'm not from Montrose. I belong to the church next door, and I've been involved with Feed since we started it. My name is Diane Folkstead. I live in Buffalo. My address is 706 7th Street Northwest. And I have one question. Have you or any of your family members ever been so short of food you couldn't feed your kids? Have the bills been so tight that I'm going to get my medicine or I'm not getting my medicine because of food? This is what I want you to consider. We have many elderly people that come here and many with little children. Many single parents, not just ladies, single parents that come with their children. And they come to us, they experience friendship, they experience love and compassion. And if you need somebody to pray with you because things are really tough, or you need someone to care, they can direct you. We have helped with shots from the community WOW van. We've had, as Pam said, blood pressure checks and things that we can do. We give people resources. People are lacking continuity in their care since before COVID and since. People are lonely. They come here and they go through the line, somebody greets them, they give them food. And sometimes they give them hugs. Please consider what we give. It doesn't take much. Just consider that there are people who really need our care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We just have a new partnership for the cat and dog food, and you can't imagine what a difference this has made to several of the older people, because they are not eating so they can feed their pets.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't give up their pets because that's their companion.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So, nonprofit groups.
My feeling is if you're doing a fundraiser, there should be a fee to it. Is it 150? I don't know, but there should be a fee. And the only reason I say that is because it's a high trafficked event. There's been, like you said, in order to upkeep this place, we're talking, $54,000 just on the flooring. There's times that we've come in and you know, there's oil still in the oil, and I'm, you know, don't know who that's from, but there's stuff like that. There's simple things that aren't getting done. I don't think it's $150, but I definitely think that it's an event that there's money being made, and that there should be a fee. And that's not including the bingo at the Montrose community dinners. I'm just saying, you know, fire department dinner should pay the fee. We are using it, we're taking up the space, it fills this room and the fire department. But I think that there needs to be a fee for it. As far as regular meetings, I'll put it this way, as long as nobody who wants to pay for the room is using it, I'm good with it. If somebody comes in though and asks for it, I think we need to have the understanding with all the groups that the paying person will jump the line for it.
That can be really hard, especially if we're doing a theater community one. If somebody is gonna trump that, then what do we do? Because those are pretty set in stone, you can't really move those around.
Weren't you kind of saying for meetings? If a paying person comes in?
Yeah.
So that wouldn't
For the
be.
meeting, we're not talking feed or that.
That wouldn't be feed.
I'm talking like if we just have a regular meeting, that
So
group that wants to come in here.
We have spent a lot of time on this subject, so we do need some sort of resolution, for lack of a better term.
One more thing.
Sure.
Said a lot. I represent several of the nonprofits, and I don't have a problem with us for a fundraiser event with paying the cost that it has for the electricity, the lights, and the disposables that we use during that event, with an expectation that we would do the cleaning as well. And that would be based on if it's not clean to the standard, then we would be billed for the cleaning. I understand that. I don't have a problem with that. Where I do have a problem is that we're raising those fees to a point where that fundraiser becomes a showstopper because we can't afford to do the fundraiser because we're not making that much money. That's where I have an issue with it. So I think if you drop that fundraiser piece and look at it from a different aspect and say, we want you to pay the cost that it costs to have the building open, the lights on, and the water fees and the disposables that you're using, and you're expected to clean it. I don't think any of our nonprofits would have a problem.
What's that number, though? I mean,
That number has to come from the cities, and what it costs for the electricity and the water and the disposables. I mean, we need to look at actual costs and see where we are with it. That might give you a better number on what the penalty is
Vary depending on
for nonprofits.
that's going to be all over the.
That would vary depending on event.
I know it is.
It's going to put a lot of stress on staff to figure that out per meeting use.
I think you'd have to have like a minimal, you know, you wouldn't say it's gonna be.
$13 and
I was thinking 12, but you know, I mean, well, sure, we'll go $13.77.
Right.
Well, we do get a breakdown each month from each building. That does come. I mean,
Everybody uses a different
It
amount.
doesn't pinpoint
Right.
each day of usage.
It doesn't.
I would not be able
Correct.
to single
So
in on that
if there
day,
was-
that event.
if there was $500 electrical fee or whatever, and we looked at it and said, well, everybody's been going to feed, so I'm just gonna pick on you for a second. They've been in here 4 times, take that and divide it, you know, or whatever. I mean, I know there is a breakdown on, because for, you know, let's just, again, we'll use the VFW because they just did bingo. If they want to come in here 4 times and do bingo, and we charge them $150 each time and they made $36, they're in the hole. It's gonna be null and void.
Then you wouldn't do bingo, I mean.
Exactly. If Celebrate Montrose was to come in here and do a Halloween dance where we made $450, and we take $150 off of that, we're not gonna do it. So Celebrate Montrose, I mean, I can go back to this, we picked up the Easter egg hunt because the city can't do it. So if we just continue to take away these events, again, we won't have this community. We're not gonna have it. So my vote is to leave things the way they are. Up the, the fee of weddings, rentals, that kind of thing, but nonprofits, food groups, no matter who it is, we just leave things the way that they are.
I feel like there needs to be something there. I mean, there was, 40 paid events last year and 67 no charge events. I mean, again, it doesn't have to be $150. It doesn't have to be $75. There needs to be something there so we can maintain this building. Because, I mean, we're all here in this building. We're all here coming together over this building. If we can't pay to maintain it, doesn't matter what we do. I mean, it's going to be useless. I mean, I'm not thinking, next year. I'm looking 10 years down the road. I mean, and this is what we have to think of. I mean, it can't be just. At some point, something's going to have to give here. It's going to be one way or the other. The building's not going to be standing, or, somebody's going to have to pay something. Again, it doesn't have to be $150. It doesn't have to be $75.
I think my biggest hangup is the fundraiser. And that's just because, I mean, it is raising funds, and I do agree, yes, it's going to change what groups want to do. It may also make groups advertise more to get more people. I don't know. And I'm not saying it has to be $150 either. I'm just saying, I mean, I don't see charging for meals that are provided for the community. My personal opinion.
Right.
Line 2 there, I agree. We do need to charge for memorial services and celebrations of life. The nonprofit, probably some kind of or community group one, some kind of a fee. Maybe it's not 75. And the same thing for, fundraiser. It doesn't have to be 75, I agree. Or I mean 150. But we do have to bring in something.
We talk about, putting it on the taxpayers, but we also got to think about other big projects that we have that are already going to be put on taxpayers, whether it be, wastewater regionalization. I mean, that's something else that needs to come into play here. I mean, we can't just silo ourselves off to just this issue. It's a lot bigger than just this issue. Things that we come together here right now is going to affect a lot of things, not just fees.
What was the community center in the red last year? How much?
$507.90. That's what they gave us before. Did you have a question?
Oh, yeah.
Jess, can you tell us how many times this was rented last year? Or even to this point?
Yep, I got
that. Weddings, funerals.
So last year it was 40 paid and 67 non-charged.
So we're talking about other areas that also do rentals, and they all seem higher than us. Why are we not getting that business? Is it the capacity of the building? Is it the fact that we don't have a kitchen? What is the reason Montrose isn't getting it? How is this being marketed?
It's not.
It's not being marketed?
On our city page, probably. That's about.
I think the answer to the question is amenities that are offered, as I had mentioned earlier. Even if you go to Village Hall, they have a stage, there's nostalgia to there. This is an oversized community room, is what it is. Mm-hmm.
And if you look into the paperwork that's going to come up here in a little bit, it says in here that the deep fryer now is not part of the rental fee, so now they're taking away.
It never was.
And the thing
A deep fryer?
focus more on, instead of these nonprofits.
It never
that are doing
was.
Huge things for this community is to get this place rented with payable customers so they can use it for free. Yeah. It is a business, whether it says community center on it or not. This building has to be supported by rentals. So is there a way we can get more marketing going to make people start saying, hey, Montrose is a lot cheaper? How can we do that?
You're gonna have to invest into it.
Well, we're
We're gonna have to invest into it more than just the floors, but we're gonna have to add amenities.
And that's gonna cost money.
Mm-hmm.
Which we talked about that many years ago because we're not going to have anything out at the preserves. So if we were to upgrade the minimal that we would need to do in here, we would get more usage out of it.
Would you feature it more on your website with some of your, like the events, the vendors that you've had in here for?
Well, and the electronic sign will help with advertising some of that's going up, and I think
Wedding
that,
events you've had where it's beautiful and decorated that people can see, oh wow, that'd be great. Just getting more photography on your website.
So is this facility mainly used with the caterer that comes in when there's a wedding?
Yep.
So it's all catered stuff. There's really nothing that can be done in that room.
Correct.
can we, I mean, if we're looking at in the red of the 507, if we increase the other rates, can we take a look at it after 2020, well, maybe even halfway through 2025 to see how the increased rates are making a difference on if it is or not? With just the increased rates on the rentals? That's my question.
But we only had 40 last year.
Because if it's an extra 40 with, and maybe we throw a cleaning fee on there too. Maybe it's a $75 cleaning fee after the fact.
Is it open to any caterer? I can bring a wedding in here, I can pick anybody I want, or do you have specific caterers that you have?
Anybody.
That's the kind of stuff you want to put in your
Right.
advertisement.
Right.
Hey, it's cheaper because we get more choice of what we want to bring in.
The extra $100, I mean, with the 40 rentals, I mean, I think that covers it. I guess, you guys able to look at it in a year of what it looks like with just increasing those fees and not increasing the nonprofit ones? Because obviously, in a year, I guess that would be 6 months, that if it's still in the red because of all of the other stuff, and I wouldn't want to include the floor and everything, but because that's ARPA, then it's a discussion that now you have the data that the increased rentals and the advertising didn't make a difference. There's still other costs that have to be associated with it, whether it's the ceiling or the roof.
Could we also limit the amount of dates that some of those groups get so we can make room for paying customers? Because this year we have so far we have 28 non-charged events and 18 charged. So could we minimize some of those dates so we can leave some of those dates open for people who want to pay the increased rates?
So that was my next question with regards to last year's rates, or with how many events were booked. Were we unable to take paying customers because they were already rented to a nonprofit?
We didn't measure that. There hasn't been a lot that's ever, maybe measured. So that's something we probably would need to measure.
Yeah, because if you look at March from last year, I mean, every weekend it was booked, but we didn't have a single paying event. It was all
2 full months.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm just wondering, did people call to book the hall, but we said no because there was a nonprofit in here?
And I think the nonprofits are aware that if there was a paying customer to come in, that paying customer takes precedence over, and then the nonprofit would have to find a new date. I mean, that's the understanding that we've always had, that if there is somebody, so say, obviously not the weekend of Celebrate Montrose, but if somebody was doing a fish fry and they had it for March 10th and somebody wanted to rent it out, that nonprofit would have to find a different day because the paying customer comes ahead of. The non.
We'd have to write that into the contract, because that's not in the current contract. That's not how it's being treated currently.
I mean, I totally understand that. If you've got somebody who's going to want to pay for it, then, you know.
I think we have a lot to really unpack. We're all getting somewhere on the payment, but I think there's some wording that we need to go back to. I'd recommend that we'd have a special meeting at the end of this month to finalize this, or workshop.
Yeah, I mean, Kirby, I know you said you wouldn't count the floor because it came out of ARPA. But what about the roof or the next floor? Or, we don't always have those funds. That's my only question. This comes from, and I hated it, don't get me wrong, living in a condo with an association and paying those monthly extra dues for a future roof that was probably gonna be put on when I wasn't even alive or living there, supposedly. But there should be a fund that is going to pay for future improvements or repairs that are needed. So we do have to think of that. I know we don't necessarily have to put that into our cost for this year, because it will be used for hopefully many years before it has to be replaced again. But it is another thing that we have to factor in eventually.
I do like your idea, David, that we have a workshop to discuss this and come up with a final plan.
I just think there's too many little things here that we're not gonna agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah, there's a lot to think of.
There's more than just the fees.
Yeah.
Okay.
One quick note
Well-
on being a nonprofit. If you're gonna do that, I think you need to set a time frame, like 30 days out, something of that nature, so they have time to advertise or rescheduling if they're doing a fish fry or something of that nature. So you can bump them up to 30 days out or something of that nature. And most weddings don't plan more than 30 days out anyway.
Yep. I would hope so too.
Can we exchange dates maybe over the next couple of days? What would work at the end of the month? Okay. So then the rest of that doesn't apply. There's one more open forum request. Luke Resimus.
Hi there, I'm Luke Racemius, 122 Crystal Court.
Close.
I'm a friend of Matt Lyric, who's a victim of the officer-involved shooting at the Dollar General in Montrose on April 15th, 2024. What I feel is required is to determine the underlying factors that led to the situation. From a post, quote, they, Child Protective Services, Wright County Sheriff's Office, Hennepin County, and name redacted, first kidnapped my 3 stepchildren and wouldn't let my wife communicate with them in any way because she defended me. The kidnapping took place at school on January 6, 2023. Then they coerced her to leave me because I would not contract with the unlawful due process subverting CPS. They wanted to evaluate me. They said they would do an intake and the nurses would take good care of me. I know take good care of me where this leads. Then I created the standoff situation. I put my gun to my own head to keep them away from me. The Sheriff's Department, Minnesota State Troopers, and FBI were present. They took my wife and 2 biological babies into custody and coerced my wife to sign an order of protection against me by threatening to immediately kidnap my babies and place them into foster care. This was January 30th, 2023. Now my wife lives in fear of we the people's public servants, as do I. End quote. According to the surgeon, Matt suffered 7 to 9 gunshot wounds to his hand. He suffered a collapsed lung, broken ribs, bullet fragments in his kidney, liver, spleen, colon, intestines, and also a fractured shoulder. He is still unable to use his right arm. Matt was quickly transferred to jail from HCMC and was allegedly not taken care of and did not receive treatment for his wounds. It was the actions of a few which got him back into the hospital where he immediately required another surgery due to an abscess in his liver. Access and communications were denied, even between the nurse and his parents. I contacted the Hennepin County Sheriff's Department in an email and told them that there have been numerous denials of access and communication with the defendant, Matt Lyric. I asked them to please provide me with a document which will gain me access to the defendant so that he can have proper representation and due process in a court of law, which is his constitutional right. As of today, only myself and his parents are allowed to speak with Matt. There appears to be several human, civil, and constitutional rights that have been violated, which include the 1st, 5th, 6th, 8th, and Section 1 of the 14th Amendment. Violations with the American with Disabilities Act of 1990. Matt required an Article III court for his due process prior to April 15th, and once he challenges jurisdiction, these Article I courts cannot move forward at all. Their warrants were void on their face just due to the challenge. We feel the subsequent warrants and charges after January of 2023 are null and void, as there was never an original crime committed and no persons were harmed. I don't trust Wright County Sheriff's Department to follow through and serve required documents, let alone have them signed, witnessed, and notarized upon their lawless and unconstitutional actions thus far. I'm giving them one last chance to uphold their oath and do the right thing. Should this fail, I'm also serving the City Council of Montrose with the process server documents. My suggestion would be to have a deputy, along with a city employee, coordinate to get these documents signed and returned to me within 72 hours. Time.
Thanks, Luke. Upcoming meetings, planning and zoning was canceled for Wednesday, June 12th. EDA, Tuesday, June 18th, 12 p.m., Montrose City Hall. Park and Rec, July 2nd, 5:30 p.m., Montrose City Hall. Regular City Council meeting, July 8th, 7 p.m., Montrose Community Center. Planning and zoning, July 10th, 7 p.m. Acknowledgements, recognitions, announcements.
I would say I appreciate all of you coming out tonight. It's obviously important to you. It is important to us as well on multiple fronts. What you guys do in the community does not go unnoticed. I see it in a lot of places, so thank you.
I also wanted to say thank you to all of you that came out here. You know, when we reach out, you guys pull the community together. And I thank you for all that, all the years that you've put in for everything, the tireless, you know, the time, effort, everything. So thank you guys for everything that you do.
I had the same thing written down that I was going to say. I was going to specifically mention the feed and the nonprofits, but I think you guys covered it. I also wanted to just thank the city staff. They do put up with us on a regular basis, whether they like it or not. And to just to say thanks to you other four that are all up here every month too. So, or at least most months that you're all up here. But it's not just one person. Almost everyone's missed a meeting. But just to thank you four for showing up here and that we put up with each other for the most part. So.
Yeah, all the thunder was already stolen.
I just was looking for you to make a motion to adjourn, actually.
All right, I will make a motion to adjourn.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. We're adjourned.